Okay, so my thing only had a limited time. I'm sorry, this is kind of long. Um, so hopefully I have this in one. If not, it's in two things. So this is part two. Um, so I kind of left off over here on the smart and the focus. So kind of on motivation, and my pointer is gone again. Um, so kind of talking on the strategies at the very end. We had use an opening that sustains curiosity. Have something that's like, oh, what is coming up next? What is this thing called an integral? Maybe it's cool. Maybe have like a rocket so that kind of shows something interesting about wanting to know what's happening. And then you have these create unit titles that I mentioned briefly, and this sounded really cool to me. And it's using your kids to like go through kind of at the beginning of the year to create a unit title, right? So don't use the titles in the book, they're a little boring, right? Integrals and the area beneath the curve. Oh, that sounds like so much fun. And come up with something more interesting. The river that flows with grass underneath. That was really weird, but whatever. So have the students come up with these unit titles. It gets them a little more interested in the material and going, oh, I remember I created that, that kind of thing. And then these synapses, as she calls them. She talks about comparing them to the synapses in your brain, which is the space between neurons, or something, I believe. I don't remember. I'm sorry, but it's basically these little breaks in between, times of learning, to maintain motivation. So I have always found that it's easier if I'm having troubles or problems with something to just take a short break. Walk away, go do something else. Watch a funny video for a minute, and go back to it, and something will probably occur to me. And it's the same generic idea that they've been really focusing for 20 minutes or maybe only 15 minutes. I mean, it really depends on the class. So just take a minute, have a funny math joke thing or something, or get them engaged in just a little something else, something to kind of break away. And it can really help everything. Just kind of, it moves from the part of the, like your short term memory to the long term memory, give it your brain time to really focus, and to really like process the information that it's learned. So why is this important for middle school? So the middle grades do care. And this is important, from what I found from the readings, that somewhere from fifth to sixth grade, students decide that math is just too hard, or they just aren't smart enough. And that's just not true. It's during middle school that sometimes that things start to change. And we as teachers should really try and find out how to stop that. Well, maybe not stop change, but how to stop them from having this weird turn from really wanting to learn to just being afraid of learning, being afraid of putting in the work that it takes. And we have to figure out how to keep them interested. So middle school is this time of change and adapting, and it's the perfect time to get your students to really like math. And this book does a really good job of explaining that and coming up with these really unique ideas that I think would be really useful in middle school and could carry over into high school, or at least help them, understand the material for high school. And teachers in middle school still have some of the freedom to explore their subjects, with students, and find a way to make math enjoyable and approachable for them that doesn't really work as well in high school. Elementary school is very, they're really little. You're really trying to get them engaged and interested about these colorful blocks. You've got colorful rooms. You've got colorful chairs. You've got all this stuff to really keep them interested and excited. But as soon as you hit middle school, it feels like everything goes away. You go from this fun and free atmosphere to this strict regimen, which wasn't necessarily the idea of middle school. And the same is said for high school. It's a little frightening. So in middle school, teachers do still have a little bit of the freedom that they had in elementary school to kind of work with their students and with the subject. Um, so would I recommend this book? I called it Here, take a look. I said I would 100% recommend this book to other teachers, especially math teachers. But again, it's not just useful for math. It can be used quite easily in all subjects. I mean, you have some that were like, demonstrate the value of math. Well, you could just change that to demonstrate the value of English or science. Um, so one of the main reasons I wanted to recommend it is because it's accessible, to more than one kind of teacher. That I think that's really important. That it's not just a math only book. And while it is related to math, it's an easy read. You get a lot of these technical math books that are just like, oh my god, what did I read? I mean, I have a math degree and I had textbooks. Oh my gosh, I hated textbooks. My teacher was more useful than my textbook. It felt like, but this book, it wasn't like that. It was easy. And there's a typo right there. But to be honest, not even adults want to read the hard stuff. So, each idea presented in this book, it's easily accessible and it's done without really compromising an already existing structure of teaching. They're simple things that you could integrate pretty simply. This little 2 minute to 5 minute break. That's not too hard to integrate. Throw a visual in. Maybe change the unit titles. These are things that you're already integrating, right? You're already using a unit title. Why not make it fun? You're already talking to them. Why not go, this is Yoda or whatever, speak in Yoda voice that I can't do. Or a fun accent, which I'm also not good at. That wasn't an accent, that was just a weird voice, but something fun like that. And there are things that's not too hard, they're not going, oh, you need to stop every 20 seconds and do this. You need to teach a different way. You're a horrible teacher because you don't do this. That's not how it's presented. It's just little suggestions and strategies to help your students. So see you later, folks. Well, not yet. But it's really more. This is really my conclusion. So I really found this book interesting. And I can definitely list 3 or 4 strategies that I would like. I mean, as you probably saw, I had some little. Oh, I really liked this. In there in parentheses. Like the little break one. The retesting is really fun. There's a couple that are just really awesome that I'd love to use. And I've always found that most people seem to hate math, but have no real reason why. And this book not only finds that reason, it finds a way to fix it. You go, why don't you like math? I don't know, I just don't like math. So and this one is, kind of explains some of those reasons that they might not understand. And also each method is really fun and entertaining for the teacher and the student. And Judy Willis really took the time to find some true scientific, oops, another type of data to prove her methods, that they work. And let me say, it is quite convincing. Because in the book, she has these little gray matter sections, she calls them, where she kind of goes into more depth about it. But also, here's my reference. It's MLA, but there's the reference for this book. So, did you say reference? So, yeah, thank you.